degrees under fair skies. Our local Doppler radar. For tonight, generally clear, low 70, winds south-southeast at 10 to 20 miles per hour. And on Thursday, partly cloudy skies. A stray shower or thunderstorm is possible. High 97. And Thursday night, variable clouds with thunderstorms. Low 70. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Here with you at the Weather Channel, and we do have some severe weather to go over. We start off in West Texas, where there's a tornado watch until 10 o'clock, and then south of there a severe thunderstorm watch, which also continues until 10 o'clock. Both of these areas have some scattered storms, but the bulk of the activity is just to the north of I-20. This cell is heading right towards Abilene. We have been seeing some severe weather here. Huge hail possible with these storms. And then as we slide on off towards the west just a little bit further, it is now over I-20 here. Severe thunderstorm warnings continuing until about 8:15 to 8:30, depending on which part of the line you're in. So definitely beware of this, as we could see some real nasty weather across this area. We also have a handful of scattered storms across the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast, and some of these have been putting down a lot of rain. We've seen really heavy rainfall, so flash flood warnings for Howard and Montgomery counties, just north of the D.C. area, and in Baltimore, the rain showers right now with low 70s. Of course, you can get the latest on the severe weather threat, which is once again wrapping up on Wake Up with Al, 5:30 in the morning.
The merciless tornado.
Some heavier pockets of rain in the northern portions of Rhode Island as well. Can't rule out the possibility of some rumbles of thunder as well. And even tomorrow still looks like a wet day, I'm afraid. Boston, your high only 51 degrees. Not what you want to hear Memorial Day weekend. In fact, scattered showers hanging back into upstate New York, down toward New York City, much of New Jersey, dealing with the rain showers as well. And that is causing us some problems at the airports. In fact, we also have a ground stop because of the air show that's in the vicinity of Kennedy. And you can see right now we've got Newark 35-minute delay, 26 minutes out of LaGuardia, so something to keep in mind if you're doing any traveling. Heavy rain and thunderstorm activity in the hill country of Texas. There's San Antonio. In fact, Bexar County now under a flash flood warning until 4:30 Central Time. Be careful traveling through here. And we're seeing some storms firing up over Dallas and Fort Worth as well. Nothing severe, though. We'll have much more on your Memorial Day weekend forecast coming up. Weather Center Live at 5 o'clock Eastern.
The way down the interstate to almost Austin. San Antonio still seeing some rain as well. So if you're traveling tonight, be prepared for the high-speed wipers. In Dallas, the storms have moved on in. You've got thunder in the distance, low 70s now. Those temps falling. Austin only in the 60s. It's quite chilly there. Severe thunderstorm watch until 11. Western Nebraska straight on down through western Kansas. In this area, we've seen some really big hail and some very gusty winds. In fact, reports of semis blown over just east of Goodland thanks to this storm going on through. Very gusty winds and severe weather because of that and the hail. We go to the north just a little bit, crossing the border. We've got Dundee and Hitchcock County, severe thunderstorm warning until 7:45. And into Nebraska, we've got some storms just north of I-80. Of course, you can get the latest on all these storms on Weather Center Live. That starts off at 10 o'clock.
Threat tomorrow that will include Des Moines, Iowa, and in fact, in the overnight hours when it's the most dangerous to have the severe weather because people aren't really focused on it, a 4 out of 10 for you on the Torcon Index. That's Monday evening into the overnight hours, 40% chance of a tornado for you. Alex.
All right, thank you so much, Kyla. Well, now to the very latest on the Oklahoma tornado tragedy. In just a few hours, President Obama, he'll be in Moore to talk to the victims and first responders. He'll also get a chance to tour some of the destruction left behind by the twister. And, of course, our very own meteorologist, Eric Fisher, has been stationed in Moore for the last several days. He has the latest.
Well, it is amazing. Some of the organization that goes into storm relief has to be organized, otherwise it's just chaos and doesn't help anybody. What we have here at the Southgate Baptist Church, see these trailers? That's now home for a lot of the volunteers that have come into town here that are working for relief efforts. Those are bunks where people can stay during the entire relief, which will stay probably for several weeks, if not more than a month. Then you've got the food, and here, breakfast being served. Open up one of these guys, and you've got eggs, biscuit, a little fruit, everything you need for a long day of picking up debris, going out and helping in the neighborhood. And all this taking place right away from the tornado path. You don't have to look far in the distance to see some of that damage out in the field. This missed the church by a couple of 100 yards. Of course, the Red Cross has been on the ground. They have been working hard. Over 40 emergency response vehicles. They've gotten over $15 million in donations. Here's a look and listen at what they've been doing here on the ground in Oklahoma.
We're distributing.
In our area, 76 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Our local Doppler radar. Today, mostly sunny, hot, high 96. Winds south at 20 to 30 miles per hour. For tonight, clear to partly cloudy, low 68. Winds south at 20 to 30 miles per hour. On Monday, sunny along with a few clouds, hot, high 98. Our week ahead. Here's our local Doppler radar. Today, partly cloudy, hot, high 98. Winds south at 15 to 25 miles per hour. For tonight, partly cloudy skies with gusty winds, low 69. On Tuesday, slight chance of a thunderstorm, high 95. The week ahead.
Along a dry line and a frontal zone. That'll be these areas in red from parts of Montana and North Dakota all the way over to Nebraska, Iowa, and then perhaps down parts of Kansas, Oklahoma, and into Texas. There'll be a few tornadoes there. Probably the biggest threat going to be in parts of Nebraska, Iowa, and into Kansas. Large hail damaging winds are the threat. Now, Monday we have one piece of an upper air disturbance. The bigger piece is going to come in to the Pacific Northwest, and that could set the stage for quite a severe weather outbreak Tuesday and Wednesday. Here it is on Tuesday. You see that U-shaped dip in the jet stream, and then Wednesday it comes even closer to the Rocky Mountains. At that point, it really begins to tap and interact with warm, moist air from the Gulf of Mexico. On Wednesday, the jet stream winds coming in from the southwest pretty fast, right over top of the warm, moist Gulf of Mexico air that's very unstable. So that's the ingredients for a potential tornado outbreak that could even begin on Tuesday. The threat areas, much of the central U.S., maybe unfortunately including Oklahoma City or somewhere near there. So here are some of the details as I see it right now. On Tuesday, we'll have that threat in parts of southern Nebraska, Kansas, down into Oklahoma, and some up into Iowa and the Great Lakes states. And then into Wednesday, some of that tornado threat, maybe the highest of it, could be in the Texas Panhandle, western parts of Oklahoma, maybe getting close to Oklahoma City, as well as the rest of these red shaded areas. So it's another week where you'll need to stay safe. Heed those tornado warnings. Back to you.
Tylenol in a day, or just 2 Aleve for all-day relief. All aboard.
Is in effect for our area. Here's our local Doppler radar. For tonight, windy with a possible thunderstorm. A few storms may be severe. Low 69. Chance of rain 30%. And on Tuesday, slight chance of a thunderstorm. High 94. And Tuesday night, partly cloudy with isolated thunderstorms possible. Low 67. Our 7-day outlook.
thunderstorm watch in effect for portions of Illinois. It goes until 10 o'clock Central Time. Also a section of western Indiana on into northeastern Missouri. So damaging winds, large hail, your main threat there. We're also watching the high plains of the Dakotas down into Colorado and western Kansas.
All right, I want to get an update now from the severe weather we're seeing out there tonight. Let's go over to our severe weather expert, Dr. Greg Forbes. Greg?
And Kim, we may get a tornado watch before the evening is out for parts of Nebraska as well. It is a stormy day. We've had in Wyoming and Montana, we've had Wyoming and Nebraska, we've had 5 reports of tornadoes, some golf ball hail, some damaging wind in Illinois. Part of the situation for the Illinois is a big cluster of thunderstorms that fired up here in the overnight hours and the morning hours in Iowa has sagged south and east here into parts of Illinois. That has the damaging wind threat with it. Over on the west side of that, sometimes these storms leave an outflow boundary, and those are interacting with some winds coming in aloft from the southwest. That may be the tornado threat, upslope flow here for some of the high plains areas with big thunderstorm clusters ongoing there. And those are aided by the first of several upper air disturbances. You can see it spinning across Montana toward the Dakotas. The bigger one for the outbreak that will come Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is now just entering the Pacific Northwest. So we'll talk more about that one. It looks a lot like last Saturday, Sunday, Monday when Moore got hit. That cluster of thunderstorms coming right now across Champaign-Urbana, Illinois. No warnings on it at the moment. Earlier, damaged 48 mobile homes in Sangamon County, Illinois. Right now, severe thunderstorm warning around Lafayette. Damaging winds, hail, Carroll, Clinton, Tippecanoe counties there in western Indiana. Here's the situation for Springfield, Illinois. Flash flood warning is that bow echo has pushed across now toward the Champaign area. Other thunderstorms, this is the one that produced 4 tornadoes in western Nebraska. It has weakened. Some of these other thunderstorms on the Colorado-Kansas border. A number of severe thunderstorms in northeast parts of Wyoming and western parts of South Dakota. Some of those have had hail up to golf ball size. Right now they're building back into the Rapid City, South Dakota area. And one warning down in Pecos County, Texas. We could see more of the storms there. That is an area where isolated severe thunderstorms are possible, along with a big corridor all the way from Montana down into Illinois and Indiana. My thinking is that the area that hasn't really got severe thunderstorms yet, central Kansas, maybe up into south central Nebraska, is the place with the greatest tornado threat today. Torcon of 4, 40% chance of a tornado within 50 miles. And that may continue overnight toward the Kansas City area. I've given in the overnight time period a Torcon of 4. Here's that first wave. The next wave that I mentioned, watch what happens to it here in the computer model. It races tomorrow into the Great Basin. Then Wednesday emerges east of the Rockies, gets winds aloft from the southwest, pretty strong surface winds from the south. A very moist, unstable area. It's a lot like what happened last Sunday and Monday. Tornado and severe weather outbreak are likely, including perhaps the Wichita and the Oklahoma City areas. Here are some of the Torcons I've already given for the Tuesday time frame. I've given a Torcon of 5 there for west and central Kansas, 4 into Nebraska, but then it goes up to a 7 as we head into Wednesday, and that is a pretty high number. That would mean a 70% chance of a tornado within 50 miles, and that's pretty close to Wichita and Kansas, and I have a 5 down into the western and perhaps central parts of Oklahoma. So a tornado outbreak is ahead, folks. Heed those warnings. Kim?
And Dr. Forbes, you talked about, moist, unstable atmosphere. That's also adding to problems for flooding in many areas. There's so much moisture in the air that when we get thunderstorms, they're producing a lot of heavy rain. And we're talking about Des Moines, Iowa being one of them. We're already almost 5 inches above for the year for rainfall, and reports of significant flooding northwest of Des Moines near Sioux City, the Little Sioux River, 11 feet above flood.
Full Doppler radar. For tonight, windy with a possible thunderstorm. A few storms may be severe. Low 69. Chance of rain 30%. And on Tuesday, slight chance of a thunderstorm. High 94. And Tuesday night, partly cloudy with isolated thunderstorms possible. Low 67. Our week ahead.
For the St. Louis area, hopefully you got your barbecues in earlier today. Looks looks like the heavy rain now east of you, but still some light rain falling in the city. We have reports of over 40-mile-per-hour winds, a lot of lightning with this, some small hail as well, and some very heavy rain. So that's also a problem for us. Look at that wind gust at 43 miles an hour just on the southeast side of town. And, of course, the Cardinals are playing over in Kansas City, so that's a good thing, okay? So they are winning, last I saw, too. So looking right at Mount Vernon, this could be heading for you guys, that long line of storms, Indianapolis all the way back into central Missouri. Look at that line of storms. Very heavy rain, a lot of lightning, and winds, maybe 40 to 50 miles per hour with some of these storms. We're under severe thunderstorm watch, and this is for the next couple of hours till 10 o'clock tonight. So it's not over yet if you live in central and southern parts of Illinois and parts of Indiana. There's our severe threat in the red, including all the way up into the high plains and even western Texas. Kelly?
Well, Kim, President Obama got a first-hand look of the destruction in Moore, Oklahoma after last week's tornado. The president praised Oklahomans for their resolve while consoling victims and promising continued help.
From the forecasters who issued the warnings to the first responders who dug through the rubble, to the teachers who shielded with their own bodies their students. Oklahomans have inspired us with their love and their courage and their fellowship.
Oklahoma's Governor Fallon praised FEMA's quick response to the disaster, but says she's still concerned about the long-term plan. Well, on the first Sunday after a powerful tornado slammed into Moore, Oklahoma, people this weekend gathered at a church that was in its path. Our own Dave Malkoff spoke with those hit so very hard at the surface that offered them a special type of hope.
On this Memorial Day, where Americans remember people who died serving their country, here in Moore, Oklahoma, the community is remembering those who died in a tornado.
Something ugly may have happened to this part of America, but on Church Sunday, the people of Moore, Oklahoma are singing a song of hope.
Hey, bro. God bless you.
Pastor Doug Brewer's church is directly in the tornado's path. So are 2 schools, where 7 children lost their lives.
Why did God take a school and not a church?
Some questions have no answer. Some knees are still shaking.
From this point on, you'll remember where you were last Monday.
Some survivors.
Serves a lot to me today.
Good.
I found it, this song,
Good.
very calming
Good.
and peaceful.
Like Donna Goodman, can't shake the nightmare.
We were very lucky.
She was in Briarwood Elementary with her 15 students as a tornado tore the roof off.
And I held on to my babies as tight as I could. And I prayed.
Those prayers were answered in Donna's classroom. Most of her students got away with minor scrapes and bruises. And since the storm, prayers have been answered on every single corner here. These are the volunteers who have come to Moore, Oklahoma.
You're here to help us dry our tears, and you're here to bottle our tears with us. And your presence means more than dirty hands and dirty clothes to the people of this community.
But Donna, the teacher, has no home anymore.
They need us.
For her fellow survivors, there are bunk beds and hot meals at Pastor Doug's church.
Which was hard hit by a tornado 2 years ago. The Chamber of Commerce reached out to Oklahoma and made a donation to help them out.
Yeah, Greensburg as well, Kansas. So really, a lot of folks want to help. And unfortunately, we get opportunities way too often, it seems like. Next, our severe weather expert, Dr. Greg Forbes, is back to update us on the potential for tornadoes later this week. That's next in your severe weather update.
And join us tomorrow on Wake Up with Al for your back-to-work forecast, plus President Obama and New Jersey Governor Chris Christie tour the state's coastline. That's tomorrow morning starting at 5:30 Eastern.
That time of the hour when we have the severe weather update, and we have that potential for severe weather today. Parts of at least 11 states now have watches, either severe thunderstorm or tornado. Newest issued, tornado watch for parts of Nebraska and Kansas. That goes until midnight Central Time. The High Plains have severe thunderstorm watches till 7 and 9 p.m. Mountain Time, and parts of Illinois, Indiana, and Missouri, severe thunderstorm watches until 10 p.m. And down in parts of Texas, make that parts of 12 states. There in a little bit of Oklahoma, mostly Texas, 11 p.m. for that severe thunderstorm watch. Now, we do have severe thunderstorms that are ongoing. Some of them are a result of storms that formed early this morning or overnight in Iowa and have sagged into Illinois. Others are forming on the high plains as some upper-level energy pushes into the area, and we'll see an even bigger severe weather outbreak as we have an upper air disturbance, a cold pocket aloft, pushing now into the Pacific Northwest. By Wednesday, that will be tapping Gulf of Mexico moisture. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, a severe weather outbreak. Big thunderstorm cluster rolling across Champaign, Illinois. It had been producing some severe warnings around the Lafayette area. At the moment, these warnings have expired. But here's a brand new storm that is fired up south of Kearney, Nebraska in the tornado watch area. So we'll watch that one. Other storms, extreme northeast Colorado and over into parts of Cheyenne and Morrow counties in western Nebraska. There were 4 tornadoes earlier today in western Nebraska. Off to the northeast of Rapid City, South Dakota, there have been reports of golf ball size hail, severe thunderstorm warnings there. And down in Texas, Pecos County, a severe thunderstorm warning there. So the storms are a little bit far between at the moment, but the threat is existing for that parts of Texas, anywhere from Montana and North Dakota down across into Kansas and Nebraska and into Illinois and Indiana. The biggest tornado threat where that tornado watch has been issued, central Kansas up into south central Nebraska. I've given a Torcon of 4, 40% chance of a tornado in 50 miles. And that threat may continue overnight tonight in the northeast parts of Kansas, northwest Missouri, including the Kansas City area. I've given a Torcon of 4. That first round of severe weather that's triggering upper disturbance triggering today's severe weather gives way to a bigger one that comes into the Great Basin tomorrow and then emerges east of the Rockies on Wednesday. That puts a lot of southwest strong flow aloft over top of a lot of warm, moist air at low levels, and that means a tornado outbreak is a possibility over the central part of the U.S. in the traditional Tornado Alley area. Especially Wednesday, we could see, I've given a Torcon of 7 for the Wichita area on Wednesday. Here's the outlook then for Tuesday. We'll have a tornado threat. Some severe weather all the way to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and down into the Texas Panhandle, but I've given the biggest tornado threat west and central parts of Kansas, a Torcon of 5 there, and a Torcon of 4 into western Nebraska. And as I say, as we head into Wednesday, even a Torcon of 7 for parts of the Central Plains. So a tornado outbreak on the way. Heed those warnings and stay safe, everyone. Let's go back to the studio.
Is in effect for our area. Here's our local Doppler radar. For tonight, windy with a possible thunderstorm. A few storms may be severe. Low 69. Chance of rain 30%. And on Tuesday, slight chance of a thunderstorm. High 94. And Tuesday night, partly cloudy with isolated thunderstorms possible. Low 67. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Severe weather isn't taking a holiday. We'll update you on where the storms are right now and the severe threat for the rest of the week, including the potential for tornadoes.
Plus, a week later, we return to Moore, Oklahoma to see how the community is recovering after the deadly EF5 tornado.
And even though the severe weather has picked up lately, the month of May could actually be below average when it comes to tornadoes. Our own Dr. Forbes will break down the numbers. From the Weather Channel headquarters in Atlanta, you're watching Weather Center Live. And we're so glad you could join us this Memorial Day. I'm Kelly Katz. Hope everyone is having a happy and safe holiday.
All right, and I'm Kim Cunningham. I hope so as well. Unfortunately, the weather isn't cooperating with everyone who has today off. We're actually watching the possibility of more severe storms tonight.
That's right. In fact, let's take a look at the watches. We do have severe thunderstorm watches in effect from Montana into the western parts of the Dakotas, down into western Nebraska as well. Eastern Colorado, western Kansas, severe thunderstorm watch till 9 Mountain Time.
And we have a tornado watch, which means conditions are right for tornadoes. This is until midnight. If you are in Nebraska or if you're in northern parts of Kansas, you're under that threat tonight.
Let's bring in our severe weather expert, Dr. Greg Forbes, in the Global Forecast Center. Greg, are we that concerned about tornadoes going through tonight?
Yeah, indeed I am. The expectation was that these storms in Nebraska, Kansas would not fire until pretty late, but once they get going, they may head toward Kansas City overnight tonight. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. Here's the situation on this satellite picture. The highest top thunderstorms have these oranges and reds, so there's a lot of big clusters up there in the Dakotas, western Nebraska. One big cluster that formed overnight came across Iowa into Missouri and now is rolling east across Illinois. It's back behind that. Sometimes those clusters of storms leave a little bit of rain-cooled air where they've been, and it's hot south of where they've not occurred in, and some upper air winds are coming into that. So it's that boundary area where the tornado threat is greatest, and that's where that tornado watch has been issued. We do also have upper air forcing for those high plains areas. One upper air feature, a cold pocket aloft coming. A bigger one, that's the one that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday will be a severe weather outbreak in the central U.S. I'll talk more about that one coming up. For the moment, that cluster from overnight has run into eastern Missouri. It's gone through St. Louis, come across Illinois. There was one location there near Springfield, Illinois. 48 mobile homes were damaged. At the moment, no warnings on these storms, but lightning, of course, is always a threat. Then we go into parts of Nebraska, Colorado. Here, this storm is within the tornado watch. There is a tornado warning, though, across the border in Colorado, southwest of Goodland, Kansas. There we have a tornado warning for Cheyenne County. Watch out around Arapahoe and Old Wells areas. And then not very far to the northeast of Rapid City, South Dakota, including Meade County and Perkins County. Storms moving slowly with a lot of heavy rain and some hail with a possibility there. Down in Texas, Pecos County has a warning. Other storms firing up along the dry line, they could become severe as well. We do have a watch down in that area. So there is one area of severe concern. The other from Montana all the way down to Indiana. And the area inside of there, central Kansas up into south central Nebraska, I've given the Torcon a 4 today. And overnight tonight, as those storms continue eastbound along that boundary, northeast Kansas, northwest Missouri, that includes Kansas City, a Torcon of 4. Now, as we head into Tuesday and Wednesday, a big upper air disturbance, the one I mentioned coming into the Pacific Northwest, comes east of the Rockies by Wednesday, taps Gulf of Mexico moisture. We saw this scenario, the situation when Moore got hit, and so we could get some strong tornadoes again in the traditional tornado alley area Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Here's my outlook and Torcon for tomorrow. The threat area from Texas up to South Dakota and along a frontal zone over into the Great Lakes states with a Torcon of 5 there, west and central parts of Kansas, 4 into Nebraska. But as we head into Wednesday, the outbreak continues and an even higher tornado threat. I've given a Torcon of 5 there, or 7 I should say, near the Wichita area, 5 down into parts of the Oklahoma area that could get pretty close to Oklahoma City. And so we do have a tornado outbreak that's underway and continues into Thursday. Could be pretty widespread, Kim. Dangerous situation ahead.
All right, not just a threat of tornadoes, Dr. Forbes, but also flooding. I mean, some of these areas have already picked up 11 inches of rain in the last 24 to 48 hours. That's going to be a major issue as more storms will be moving over these areas over the next probably a couple of days. All right, we're going to take a look at Kansas City's forecast and check this out all the way through Saturday. No rest for the weary here. Thunderstorms all the way into Saturday. Temperatures in the 80s to 70s, off and on, depending on how much rain that sits over you. But thunderstorms are possible, maybe even some severe storms as well. All right, so if you're going to see Kansas City play tomorrow against St. Louis, you have to watch out for more storms. All right, check this out. We have got some areas picking up over 7 inches of rainfall just northeast of Kansas City. So a lot of rain on the ground. Ground is saturated. Even parts of Illinois, we've picked up over 3 inches, close to 4 inches of rainfall. And a lot of it has to do with what this line of storms has been doing. This thing has had a history over the last 12 to even maybe 18 hours. Started out in the central plains, northern plains, moved all the way now into the Ohio Valley. We're getting storms now just to the east of Indianapolis. Line of storms moving through St. Louis did produce winds over 40 miles per hour and a lot of lightning and a lot of rainfall as well. Now, Springfield, Missouri is still under a flash flood warning, Sangamon County, but the rain has ended. But it takes some time for things to settle down, so still be careful tonight. We have flood watches in effect. Remember the Little Sioux River, 11 feet above flood stage. That's northwestern Iowa. So tremendous amounts of rain, and we're going to see more of this all the way through Friday. Kelly?
And now to the Northeast where, Memorial Day weekend is time for getting out to the beaches, maybe getting the cottage ready off the coast of Cape Cod. We are still dealing with some cooler than average temperatures. Boston, right now, it's not so bad, 72 degrees, a lot of sunshine out there. But yesterday, only 60 degrees. That's below your average of 69. We've got the Red Sox taking on the Phillies in
Severe thunderstorm watch is in effect for our area. Here's our local Doppler radar. For tonight, windy with a possible thunderstorm. A few storms may be severe. Low 69. Chance of rain 30%. And on Tuesday, slight chance of a thunderstorm. High 94. And Tuesday night, partly cloudy with isolated thunderstorms possible. Low 67. Our 7-day outlook.
Week, but that has only gotten us from a near record low start up to about 120, 125 tornadoes. Now, for the whole month of May, the past 10 years has averaged close to 300. At this point, we would have normally expected to have had about 250. So we're about halfway there to an average month. We'd have to have about 35 more tornadoes each of the last 5 days to reach average. I have outbreaks in the forecast, but I don't quite think we're going to make that. I certainly hope not. April ramps up. May is typically the peak. June pretty high, and then it calms down a little bit the rest of the year. For hail, May also pretty much a tie with June in terms of the month that has the most. May and June both contribute about 23% of the annual reports of large hail, fewer amounts in April and July. For wind, it's the months, typically June and July, that have the most damaging wind reports. We get a lot of those big widespread derechos, those big windstorms with big bow echo clusters that make that the month for the windstorms.
All right, Dr. Forbes. So this week we may be adding to those numbers. Unfortunately, we'll keep you updated on that scenario. Kelly, back to you.
All right, thanks.
Thunderstorms there on the Kansas-Nebraska border firing up severe. Bow echo coming across the panhandle of Nebraska, but a tornado warning there up in the areas around the Kansas region. There had been a tornado warning on this particular storm heading toward the Hemingford area. It did produce a tornado there. That warning has expired. Sliding there to the Colorado-Kansas border, the original storm produced tornadoes north of Cheyenne Wells. Still could be doing that, Cheyenne County, Colorado. Now another storm has split off, coming over into the area north and east of Arapahoe, Colorado, toward north of Weston, Kansas. Tornado warning there for the Wallace area. These have been land spot tornadoes. They're sort of on the edge of the storm. Big cluster of thunderstorms up to the north and east of Rapid City, South Dakota with hail. Not moving very fast. I'd be on the lookout for flash flooding there. And dropping down into Texas off to the north and east of Lubbock. Severe thunderstorm warning in there, and a number of other storms there on the dry line, the western edge of the moisture from the Gulf of Mexico. That's one area for spotty severe thunderstorms. The other all the way from Montana down into Iowa and Illinois, I should say, and Indiana. Central Kansas, I've given a Torcon of 4 there, that tornado watch area up into south central parts of Nebraska. That threat will continue overnight. I've given the Kansas City area a Torcon of 4 overnight. Once those storms get going, they'll go in late into the nighttime. That cold pocket, Pacific Northwest, and that upper disturbance pushes into the central part of the U.S. by Wednesday, taps Gulf of Mexico moisture flowing northbound. So a tornado outbreak Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. The traditional central part of the U.S. that we call Tornado Alley, unfortunately, might include Moore, Oklahoma again. For tomorrow, I've given the highest Torcon values of 5 central and western parts of Kansas, 4 western parts of Nebraska, but it goes up to 7 near Wichita, Kansas on Wednesday, the heart of the tornado outbreak possibilities. 7 there for the Wichita area, 5 down into perhaps not very far from Oklahoma City. So dangerous days with perhaps some deadly tornadoes, unfortunately, are coming up. Let's go back now to the studio.
Thank you so much, Dr. Forbes. I want to talk about some airline delays. Of course, today also a big travel day as people head back home, have to get back to work. And looking at the latest delays, it's been San Francisco that's been the problem. 75-minute delay. You can see
and that's all part of a big severe outlook now that I've increased. It goes a little bit across Oklahoma and then up into Montana. I think the highest tornado threat, central Kansas, up into south central Nebraska. Torcons there of 4 through about 10 p.m. or so. Then continuing overnight up toward the Kansas City area, Torcon of 4. And as we head into tomorrow and then Wednesday, that upper disturbance that I talked about that now is in the Pacific Northwest blasts to the central part of the U.S., gets east of the Rockies, gets to tap that Gulf of Mexico moisture. So Tuesday, Wednesday, another tornado outbreak is in the cards here for parts of the Central Plains. So could be some dangerous tornadoes yet once again. Kim?
All right, Dr. Forbes, of course, we'll be right on top of it. Imagine, though, that you are piloting a 160-foot-long blimp that displaces 4 tons of air while in flight. Now imagine a breeze blowing the wrong way, keeping you immobile. Well, a lot of pre-flight planning goes into flying a blimp. We recently spent some time with the man in charge of flying the new Despica blimp.
It's just like a boat on its mooring in a harbor. The wind is really
reformed yet once again. Reminds me a little bit of what Mike Bettison and I saw a week ago from Saturday up in south parts of Kansas. A couple of rope tornadoes came down within a few hundred yards of us and had shapes very similar to this. These can be producing damage. At this point, it looks to be roping out a little bit aloft there. We'd need to see right down at the ground to see if there's still any kind of circulation swirl. But just to the south of Minneapolis, Kansas, Ottawa County, there obviously we're getting tornadoes being reported forming and then lifting briefly from this large rotating parent thunderstorm. So situation ongoing there, continuing to monitor that. Here, the tornado warnings have expired that had been up around Friona, Texas. Still a number of severe thunderstorm warnings across parts of Texas and northwest parts of Oklahoma. Here, including the largest of the storms, Palmer County had a previous tornado warning. The rotation is weakened. That's not very far off to the east of Friona. Most of these storms out in western parts of Kansas now and up into the Texas Panhandle are part of the leading edge of this big upper air system that the cold core is right over the Great Basin, but its leading edge is beginning to affect the Texas Panhandle, beginning to affect southwest parts of Kansas, and there's a little bit, and even the western parts of Nebraska. So that is the beginning of our multi-day tornado outbreak. Tomorrow it'll be farther out over to the east and tapping richer Gulf of Mexico moisture. There's one other disturbance that is pushing across the Great Lakes that triggered that previous tornado warning in Michigan, and a little bit of an upper disturbance that's come across parts of northeast Kansas, triggering the storms there. So here and there's little patches of storms all the way, perhaps working into Pennsylvania and western New York, and then all the way down into Missouri. Kansas being the prime spot, parts of the high plains and dry line down into parts of Texas. I've given a Torcon of 5 for central and east parts of Kansas. We've had tornadoes in there. Torcon of 4 for southwest, western parts of Nebraska. We've had tornadoes in there. We've also had some tornadoes in Oklahoma as well. So as we head into tomorrow, that upper air disturbance that I talked about will come even farther to the east. We'll have mid-level 70-mile-per-hour winds from the southwest, combining with 5,000-foot winds, very strong from the south at about 60 miles per hour, and surface winds from the southeast. That kind of turning of the winds over Oklahoma, Nebraska, and Kansas will be ripe for a tornado outbreak. And accordingly, I've given a Torcon of 6 for tomorrow, the western half of Oklahoma, probably about a 5 in Oklahoma City, 6 for central Kansas, south central parts of Nebraska. And as we head into Thursday, the jet stream more or less stays in place. Some disturbance within that runs farther north, so Minnesota, upper Michigan, all the way down into Oklahoma, still having that tornado threat, with Oklahoma still a Torcon of 6. Paul and Kelly?
To Daniel Shaw, storm chaser out there. And Daniel, talk about what you were seeing over the last 15 minutes or so.
Oh, absolutely. It was a long rope on the ground. It did actually make contact with the ground. And it wasn't on the ground for very long. It was moving south slightly. But at the moment, it's just a rapidly rotating wall cloud. There's quite a few farmers and locals actually driving under it. I'll be repositioning now to get into a better position to view it. As the wall cloud is heading towards my location. So if there's a drop in the stream, I do apologise, but obviously we all have to take our precautions, and this is one of them. You'll just be looking at clouds. It may not look very glamorous, but that's what I'm going to do.
All right, Daniel, obviously safety does come first. We just want to remind folks, Ottawa County under that tornado warning till 6 Central, moving toward the northeast at 25. Daniel, you said it's not a very residential area, though?
Oh, look, at the moment, it's crossing around Highway 18 and Highway 106, which is about 10 to 15 north of Kansas. It was on the ground very briefly. I did get a full confirmation on that, but it's been lifted, and now it's just a rotating wall cloud. So obviously a very dynamic situation and something which you shouldn't be driving under, and that's why I'm repositioning at the moment.
Right, I understand there's also some nickel hail reported out there with the same storm.
Well, that I haven't seen. That's probably on the northern part of the storm. And what I'm going to do for you now, if we still have an active stream, quickly, I've just done a quick U-turn, and you should see now, hopefully, in a few seconds, a rotating wall cloud.
All right, Daniel, we'll get back to you shortly. Keep on it for us, and we will be right back here on Weather Center Live.
Here's our local Doppler radar. For tonight, partly cloudy and windy with isolated thunderstorms possible. A few storms may be severe. Low 69. And on Wednesday, decreasing cloudiness. Hot. High 96. And Wednesday night, a mostly clear sky. Low 68. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Learn more about Trifexis, talk to your veterinarian. Call 888-545-5973 or visit trifexis.com. You don't have to go to extremes to protect.
We're still tracking severe weather across the nation. Right now, a live look at the White House in D.C. We are under a severe thunderstorm warning. You might see a little bit of rain coming on through there, but some pretty strong thunderstorm, plenty of lightning. This is the time of the evening. People are trying to, get dinner cooked, washing dishes, bathing little ones, all dangerous things to do with all this lightning in the area. And right now, again, we have a series of thunderstorm warnings for Arlington, D.C., and Fairfax, as well as the cities of Alexandria, Fairfax Falls Church, and again into the district under a severe thunderstorm warning at this time. Again, let's move on towards the district. You can see heavy rain moving right on through there and plenty of lightning, all those more numerous lightning strikes back off towards northern Virginia. Eventually, that's going to move on towards the Beltway as well. Expect some delays at the airports, both Dulles as well as Reagan National at this time. Now, we're also still tracking severe weather across the plains. We jump now towards northeastern Kansas. This is out of the Topeka radar. Nemaha County as well as Brown counties all under tornado warnings, including the cities of Adams as well as Fidelity. This storm has produced numerous tornadoes, at least one very large and destructive tornado did some damage as well, and this cell continuously has some rotation. It could be continuously producing tornadoes as well as the other early ones that already has produced. So again, in Brown and Nemaha counties, take shelter immediately. This storm is not going anywhere. And so it's slowly shrinking across this area. On top of that, we have a flash flood warning for Nemaha County because many areas here in the red, look at the legend down here, we're talking more than 5 inches of rain, potentially over 6.5 inches of rain. It's already fallen just this hour alone, so flash flooding is imminent across this area, as well as the risk of tornadoes. Now we slid on towards kind of central Kansas. This is just north of Salina. Ottawa County still under a tornado warning. This cell as well looking far more healthier on radar right now. You see a little hook return there on the radar. This has also at least produced a couple of tornadoes. It's continuously producing rotation in the cloud beds, in a wall cloud, and some rope funnel clouds have been reported as well. But again, this has already produced a tornado, could still be producing a tornado, and radar is detecting strong rotation within this thunderstorm. Ottawa County, including Bennington, as well as Minneapolis, under tornado warning. Minneapolis, Kansas, that is, under tornado warning through at least the top of the hour here. So definitely, as we put this in motion, moving a little faster than the other storm, around 10 miles per hour, still not very fast. It continues to push it on towards the north and east, kind of right between Minneapolis, Kansas, and Bennington, Kansas. So watch out around Highway 81, as well as I think it's Highway 108 as well. So a very dangerous corridor that this possible tornado or already producing tornado cell is moving on through. Again, clear hook indication on the radar, Kelly. This one definitely could still be producing a tornado.
All right, thanks so much, Paul. We will obviously keep a close eye on the severe weather. In the meantime, the New Jersey shore open for the summer rush 7 months after being devastated by Superstorm.
Here's our local Doppler radar. For tonight, partly cloudy and windy with isolated thunderstorms possible. A few storms may be severe. Low 69. And on Wednesday, decreasing cloudiness. Hot. High 96. And Wednesday night, a mostly clear sky. Low 68. Our 7-day outlook.
Cone or wedge-shaped tornado right at the center of your picture on the left, right down to the ground. It may have a little bit of rain. It's slightly making it obscured, but you can also see a little bit of dust being picked up just a bit to the edges of that tornado's cone funnel. So large tornado there. If you're in the vicinity of Bennington or just a few miles west of that, you need to be taking your shelter because the tornado is sitting right here. It's moving slowly at about 5 to 10 miles per hour off toward the east, maybe slightly to the northwest of Bennington if it continues to move. Sometimes these tornadoes, though, will take a little bit of a right turn or perhaps a little bit of a left turn. So anywhere west and northwest of Bennington, you're under the threat of tornado. Now, we'll take a look here a little bit farther on while you watch that tornado on the left. We have one other storm that's produced tornadoes. Still a tornado warning for Brown County, not rotating as strongly as it had been, about up near the area of Powhatan and the Mercier area. A possible tornado still there. And there are some additional little appendages forming back in Nemaha County where there had been tornadoes previously. So this storm not moving very rapidly. Both of these tornadoes are with tornado warning storms are within a tornado watch that goes until 10 p.m. There are a couple of severe thunderstorm watches in yellow that go until 10 p.m. local time as well. So it's a busy day out there. At the moment, those areas do not have tornadoes in them, but this storm north of Scottsbluff previously produced several tornadoes. And we've had a tornado warning off to the west of Detroit that Oklahoma, Texas in these areas. And I've given a Torcon of 5. We've already verified central and eastern Kansas, 50% chance of a tornado within 50 miles. Torcon of 4, western Nebraska, that's already verified as well. As we head into tonight, some of these storms may continue some of the same areas. Tomorrow, that upper air disturbance gets even farther to the east, gets east of the Great Basin, east of the Rockies, 70-mile-per-hour winds at the mid-levels from the southwest. Low-level jet, 5,000 feet, 60 mile per hour. Surface winds from the southeast, plenty of turning of the winds with height. So a tornado outbreak from Texas up across Oklahoma and Kansas into Nebraska. I've given a Torcon of 6 for the western half of Oklahoma, probably 5 for Oklahoma City. The worst maybe just slightly to the west. Central Kansas, south central Nebraska, also a Torcon of 6. And as we head into Thursday, that same jet stream system stays there. A disturbance within it, though, pushes the severe threat all the way up to the Canadian border. And still, though, down in parts of Kansas and Oklahoma, a Torcon of 6 remains. So it's a multi-day tornado threat for Oklahoma. Stay safe, everyone. Let's get back to the studio.
All right, thanks, Dr. Forbes.
Weather, Dr. Forbes will be back as well. There's the live picture of that tornado we're tracking just north of Salina, Kansas, courtesy of storm chaser Daniel Shaw.
Here's our local Doppler radar. For tonight, partly cloudy and windy with isolated thunderstorms possible. A few storms may be severe. Low 69. And on Wednesday, decreasing cloudiness. Hot. High 96. And Wednesday night, a mostly clear sky. Low 68. Our week ahead.
starting up again this evening. We've already seen several tornado warnings in the past couple of hours.
Yates.
Here's our local Doppler radar. Today, windy with a mix of clouds and sun. High 94. Winds southwest at 20 to 30 miles per hour. For tonight, mainly clear skies. Low 67. On Thursday, a mainly sunny sky. Hot. High 99. Our week ahead.
That severe weather threat here from Minneapolis down toward Des Moines and into Kansas City as well. Tomorrow, it's your turn, Chicago, to be in the red zone. We'll still see more back into the plains. Much of the Midwest will see lightning, thunder. We'll also see the hail and damaging wind threat too. And then as we head on into the next couple of days, Friday could be very stormy here from Chicago back to the plains again. And we'll see that threat move eastward on into Saturday with thunderstorms invading Cleveland, Detroit, Indianapolis, and still Chicago will be in line to see those thunderstorms. So we'll be watching for those storms to put down a good amount of heavy rain, 3 to 5 inches over a widespread area between now and Sunday. And that does include much of central Illinois, all the way back into northern Missouri, areas that frankly don't need any more rain, and some could get 7 inches and more. So flooding is going to be a threat no matter how you slice it. More thunderstorms through Saturday, then we clear it out and we cool it down back behind that cold front. Vivian?
All right, well, let's talk about the Northeast because this area will be warming up big time as we go through the next couple of days. Philadelphia, right now, you're already at 86 degrees, albeit a little cloudy, kind of hazy out there in the New York City area, but that is our top story from New York to...
Ripe for severe weather today. Now, just yesterday, see this tornado? It was caught on camera. This is in Ottawa County, Kansas, one of many tornadoes that erupted in Kansas yesterday, and some of those were just downright huge. Well, we do have a tornado threat again today in the central and western portion of Kansas, and Mike Bettis is on the road near Buckland, Kansas, and it looks like this area ripe and ready for more thunderstorms that could turn severe, maybe some tornadoes. You're under a tornado watch, Mike.
Yeah, we think it could be a very active afternoon in this part of the country, Nick. No question about that. With a very volatile atmosphere, it seems like all the ingredients are going to be there today for a severe weather to explode right along the dry line here, western Kansas, the panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma. Show you my view, and that's what we're looking at. It's great to see this kind of view, and the reason why is there aren't hardly any houses out here, which is great. Now, I'll pan off here to the left. You'll see this is our view off to our east. This is our view to the south, which is the direction we're facing, and then our view off to the west here. We're just monitoring right now storms to develop. We've already seen a line of storms fire up. None of those storms have actually gone severe warned yet, but we do anticipate those storms will really get more violent as we go through the day, meaning large wind threat, hail threat. Hail could be as big as softball size today, and we could, of course, be looking at a tornado risk as well. The thing is this, Nick, you know, when I know we preach this all the time, almost till we're blue in the face, is just be prepared. Make sure that you know where exactly in your house you're going to go, know exactly what you're going to do once you get there, and make sure you have things like your cell phone charger. Make sure you have your bike helmets for you and your kids, and make sure maybe you've got some important documents, or maybe your laptop that has all your pictures on it. Take that in there with you. Now, don't cluster up your storm shelter with a bunch of stuff, but just the really vital things that you need, and the most important thing is to put yourself in there and be safe. We're going to follow it for you throughout the afternoon, Nick. Don't forget, follow us on Twitter. Instant updates there. Use the hashtag Tornado Hunt. We'll see you out here on the road, Nick.
All right, thanks so much, Mike. Good advice. We can't say it enough. Well, stay with us. We will be talking tropics. Yeah, tropical storm.
Local on the 8th.
Currently in our area, 90 degrees under fair skies. Here's our local Doppler radar. Today, windy with a mix of clouds and sun. High 94. Winds southwest at 20 to 30 miles per hour. For tonight, mainly clear skies. Low 67. On Thursday, a mainly sunny sky. Hot. High 99. Here's our 7-day outlook. Our local Doppler radar. For tonight, clear and windy. Low 67. Winds south-southwest at 20 to 30 miles per hour. And on Thursday, sunny skies, hot, high 98. And Thursday night, clear skies, low 69. Our 7-day outlook.
We're still tracking severe weather across the plains. We're going to start off in Nebraska, where we're dealing with a tornado warning that continues to pop up here for this thunderstorm that continues to roll on out of eastern Colorado. Again, Hamilton and York counties under tornado warnings right now. Again, the cities of Hampton and Henderson, as well as Bradshaw, that warning goes until 4:30 local time. And again, a couple of warnings in that area as well. And as we head across areas of north central Nebraska, this entire line now either has severe thunderstorm warnings on it or a tornado warning, and very few areas that do not have warnings on this line. It continues to kind of roll across central and western Nebraska. We move on towards the panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma, also dealing with a line of showers and thunderstorms. But also, there's a big-time concert going on in Oklahoma City, and this is the line we're concerned about. Actually, this is still in Kansas. This is the line that we're concerned about here in Oklahoma City, and eventually could move into the Oklahoma City area just in, say, about an hour, hour and a half from now as well. In fact, we're dealing with severe thunderstorm warnings on this. We're going to time out this line and see how that backward C-shaped, that's a signature of some damaging strong winds in this line. We time it all out. Oklahoma City headed your way about 6:03 local time. I don't know what exact time the concert starts, but definitely you will be dealing with perhaps some strong winds, lots of lightning as well. I hear the concert begins around 8 o'clock local time, so hopefully it's in and out. But even behind that line, there's more thunderstorms which are popping and pushing out of Oklahoma and Texas into Oklahoma. Right now, Collingsworth and Dudley counties, as well as Gray and Wheeler counties, all under tornado warnings at this time. Kelly?
Well, Paul, as you mentioned, a concert going on tonight as the recovery from last week's devastating tornadoes in Oklahoma continues. Relief efforts getting a helping hand. The Healing in the Heartland Relief Benefit Concert kicks off around 9 o'clock.
Much of the plains and Midwest, where there have already been isolated twisters, and even more severe weather could be on the way.
All the ingredients are coming together for a tornado outbreak, and it will last several days.
The potential strike zone stretches from the Midwest and plains through the Great Lakes, including the area that is the focus here tonight.
There certainly will be a threat for somewhere near the Moore, Oklahoma area, probably for several days, Wednesday, Thursday, maybe even into Friday.
A region that remains on guard even as they try to recover.
You're local on the 8s.
Currently in our area, 93 degrees under sunny skies. Here's our local Doppler radar. For tonight, clear and windy, low 67, winds south-southwest at 20 to 30 miles per hour. And on Thursday, sunny skies, hot, high 98. And Thursday night, clear skies, low 69. Our week ahead.
Welcome back, everyone. We are Severe Storm Central, and boy, we've got storms popping all over the place. Let's start things off in the Texas Panhandle, where we do have some active tornado warnings in effect right now. We're in the Panhandle east of Amarillo, where Collingsworth and also Donley counties continue under a tornado warning until 5:15 local time. At times, we have had sightings of either funnel clouds or even tornado touchdowns. Gray and Wheeler also under that tornado warning until 4:30 Central Time. So if you're in McLean, you definitely need to be in your safe place right now, away from the windows. Now we're in the middle of Oklahoma. You can see Oklahoma City right there, and just to the west of Oklahoma City, you can see this cluster of storms. It's kind of bowing out a little bit, so watch out for some strong winds. Severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for these counties right here, and lots of dangerous lightning. We're talking about 3,611 strikes just within the last 15 minutes, so about 240 strikes per minute. So dangerous situation here as these storms are moving toward all that debris that is still on the ground where that tornado hit more in South Oklahoma City just last week. So a concern for Anadarko, El Reno, Oklahoma City by around the top of the hour at around 6 o'clock local time, Midwest City by about 6:17. These storms will be upon you. Again, dangerous lightning and perhaps some strong damaging winds. We're also looking at several severe thunderstorm warnings in the heart of Nebraska, to the north of I-80, to the south of I-80, and right over I-80 itself. As a matter of fact, you can see around York, we do have a tornado warning in effect. Also portions of Hamilton County until 4:30 Central Time. This thunderstorm complex moving toward the east. So again, watch out in some of these areas like Bradshaw. You need to be seeking shelter right now as well. Northeast, we also got several severe thunderstorm warnings in effect, now pushing to the east of Syracuse down toward the Mohawk Valley as well. New York State Thruway included in those warnings. Paul?
Well, let's take it to New York City right now to Times Square, where things will really be heating up literally, as temperatures right now are comfortably in the 80s, about 80 degrees right now, but we're heading on towards the 90s, and yes, summer in the city. We're going to be sizzling before you know it. In fact, we're heating up big time through this week and into the weekend as well. Not just, 82, 83.
And nowhere to go, your safe place. Also replace the landscaping and trim those trees and shrubbery. That's what you got to do this time of the year with severe weather season underway. Make sure your roof covering will resist high winds. Have at least 3 hinges and a deadbolt security locks on your doors. Install impact-resistant window systems. Again, if you can, in preparation for severe weather. The Weather Channel is Severe Storm Central. We have all angles of what could be a severe weather outbreak covered. Straight ahead on this extended edition of Weather Center Live, expert analysis you will not get anywhere else. Our experts break down these storms and zero in on the tornado threat.
Are going to be there today for a severe weather to explode.
22 states at risk. We're talking over 60 million people in the red zone.
That's where we're going to be going with this, but certainly if we do, we'll be holding on for dear life, that's for sure.
And so it begins again. Welcome back to Weather Center Live as we attract the stormy weather and severe weather. I'm Paul Goodlow.
And I'm Kelly Cass. We are with you live throughout the day and night to bring you the latest on this huge severe threat. Already we've got several warnings going on, and take a look at the area of concern. It does include portions of the Northeast, back into the middle of the country from Minneapolis all the way down towards San Antonio, Texas. We're talking about over 60 million people that could be impacted by either strong damaging winds, dangerous lightning, also the possibility of flooding for some of you, and of course tornadoes. In fact, Paul, you have the latest on the warnings.
In fact, we also have that risk area, as you showed, Kelly, across the Northeast and parts of New England. In fact, let's take you to Syracuse right now. Severe thunderstorms blowing through right now. Look at all the watch areas and warnings going on here. The yellow boxed areas, those are all severe thunderstorm warnings across the Finger Lakes, including the Syracuse area as well. Rome, Utica, all under severe thunderstorm warnings at this time, and the entire region, including areas of northern Pennsylvania, stretching on towards western Connecticut, western Massachusetts, even southern Vermont, under a severe thunderstorm watch until 11 o'clock, meaning in and around this yellow shaded area, we are seeing strong and severe thunderstorms, and we cannot rule out even tornadoes in this part of the country as we head throughout the night. Especially when that sun goes down, make sure you know how to be informed on warnings in the area. And the larger area here across the plain zoned in red, these are all tornado watches. The western watches go till 10 o'clock local time. The eastern watches here go to 11 o'clock local time, and that does include Oklahoma City. Kelly?
Paul, thank you. We're going to go in depth now with our severe weather expert, Dr. Greg Forbes. Of course, Greg issuing the Torcon numbers, our tornado condition index, which is your chance for seeing a tornadoes. And right where you put that high number of a 7, that's where we're seeing everything explode right now.
Yeah, and we've already had several tornadoes, and it's not even prime time. Typically, it's the 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. time, and it's only 4:30 out in the central U.S., so things are likely to get worse. Look at all of these thunderstorms, the big white tops here, if you were looking down from the satellite. Some of those are along a dry line, the western edge. Some of them are along a stationary front. But just the heating along combined with the turning of the winds with height are giving thunderstorms out ahead of that. So we may have several areas, several lines of storms, and that may include the Oklahoma City area today. Let's take a look a little bit more. Here's what I'm talking about. Our wind stream graphic shows the winds in the moist air coming in from the south-southeast, the dry air from the west. So they're colliding along the storms in Texas and western Kansas, especially are forming along that dry line, but more storms out ahead of that. Here's what I mean. There's some tornado warnings in the Texas Panhandle. Another line, though, closer to Oklahoma City. Tornadoes up into the area near Hastings, Nebraska, and severe thunderstorms all the way from Wisconsin along that stationary front to eastern Colorado. I'm going to just focus on the tornado warnings, and we have a whole bunch of them here in Nebraska. Right now, tornado warning for York County. Tornado circulation would be right in that little notch right about there. Watch out around Arborville and Bradshaw. There was a pretty strong rotation on that one. Then we have additional warnings here for York County. Look how this hook echo comes down. We'll watch that area just to the north of Exeter. Watch out Knox-McCool Junction. Then additional storms here down to the west of Tobias. And then this big storm over here to the east of Harvard. I'll take a look at that one. There has been a tornado reported near Clay Center. I'll show you here on the velocities. There was a tight little circulation right in there. The greens and the reds, that's a tornado about 4 miles northeast of Clay Center, heading up to the east of Harvard and the west of Sutton. So a lot of tornado warnings in this cluster of storms in Nebraska. And then down into the Texas Panhandle, all along the dry line, a couple of storms there with tornado warnings and a line of thunderstorms. You could get some tornado circulations in these, but it's not the kind of isolated supercells like we saw back when Moore got hit. Here in the Texas Panhandle, Collingsworth, Gray, Wheeler counties have a tornado warning, as well as down along this line, another warning for Collingsworth County. So it is a very busy day. As we showed, it's a day when I've given a Torcon of 7 for the eastern Texas Panhandle, western parts of Oklahoma. It's a 5 or 6, though, for central Oklahoma. It's a 7 up into parts of Kansas as well. And it will continue tomorrow. Today we've had the disturbance in the jet stream that we've been promising. The southwest winds aloft ahead of that negatively tilted trough, northwest to southeast, are pushing east. It will still be around tomorrow. It will still be around on Thursday and Friday. And so we'll have a multi-day severe weather outbreak and tornado outbreak tomorrow. Right in the heart of central Oklahoma, I still have a Torcon of 6. The front has not pushed through. 6 for eastern Kansas, western Missouri, and then even on to Friday, I still have a tornado threat in parts of Oklahoma, still with a Torcon of 6 for northeast parts of Oklahoma and adjacent areas. So Kelly, a lot of tornadoes, a possibility in Oklahoma. Let's hope so many storms form that the hail and the thunderstorms compete with each other, but stay safe, everyone.
All right, Greg, thank you so much for that. Paul?
Well, thanks, guys. Let's check in.
At south, if the south has potential, or we'll scoot to the east. So we'll just kind of follow the line south, because there's certainly a lot of energy that hasn't been utilized yet, all the way down toward Lubbock. We expect a line of storms all the way down toward Lubbock. The greater the farther south you get, the more chances for hail. But right now we're on this Shamrock storm down toward the Wellington area.
All right, Jim Cantori live on the road. Jim and Reed and all the crew out there, be safe tonight. Kelly?
All right, Paul, we are certainly watching out for severe weather in many different areas of the country, checking out our breaking weather alert system. We do have a tornado warning in effect in Custer County, Nebraska, also just in for Kansas, Logan County, under a tornado warning as well. So seek shelter immediately. There's the one in Logan County, Kansas, just to the north of Scott City, moving toward the northeast. Watch out around the Colby area.
Currently in our area, 93 degrees under sunny skies. Here's our local Doppler radar. For tonight, clear and windy, low 67. Winds south-southwest at 20 to 30 miles per hour. And on Thursday, sunny skies, hot, high 98. And Thursday night, clear skies, low 69. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Welcome back, everyone, as we check on our breaking weather alert system. This just in from the National Weather Service, a rain-wrapped tornado on the ground approaching Stockham, Nebraska. That tornado doing some damage, apparently, to an outbuilding and also knocking down some trees as well. So watch out in Stockham, Nebraska. And also, you can see there, flash flooding is a concern for portions of Nebraska as well. So very busy time, that is for sure. Severe weather outbreak now just getting going. Clay County, we do have that tornado warning in effect. You can see all the red boxes on the radar screen. That is indicating where we do have active tornado warnings, including Fillmore County. This is in Nebraska, by the way, until 5 o'clock Central Time. So again, lowest level of your home, away from the windows. And here's the one that has reports of damage approaching Stockham. We're talking about Clay and Hamilton counties under that tornado warning there. And you can see also off toward the north and east, watching Interstate 80 around the York area. Very dangerous storms moving across this part of the state. Now we're into central Nebraska. You can see this line of fierce-looking thunderstorms. Look at all the red in there. That indicates some very heavy rain, lots of frequent lightning, and of course the strong damaging winds. Even if you don't get a tornado, you could actually see a wind gust of 60, 70, even up to 80 miles an hour. We're watching out for that here too in the western portions of Kansas. There's an active tornado warning right here for Logan County. You need to be seeking shelter in Logansport. That tornado warning goes until 5 o'clock local time. So again, watch out. These storms are starting to show some spin, some rotation on the radar. Don't wait to see it either. Don't look out the window. Definitely get to your safe shelter. And then down here into the eastern portions of Texas, we're in the Panhandle now, where Collingsworth is still under a tornado warning until 5:15 local time. And then a little bit more toward the north, Hemphill and also Wheeler County under a tornado warning until 5:30 Central Time, right up against the Oklahoma border. And you can see other storms going here in the central portions of Kansas, right on down into the central portions of Oklahoma. We're concerned about Oklahoma City, by the way, with severe weather just off to your west. And now we take you into upstate New York. This is a new tornado warning just came out north of Oneonta. This is for Chenango and Otsego counties until 6:30 Eastern Time. Middlefield, Milford, New Berlin in the path of this dangerous storm, seeing some rotation on radar. Again, there's Albany, New York over toward the east. We're just south of the New York State Thruway, north of Interstate 88. This is where we're seeing a dangerous-looking thunderstorm on the radar with that tornado warning in effect. And off toward the north of there, around the Rome, Utica area, you are currently under a severe thunderstorm warning as well. And some of that right along the New York State Thruway, moving down the Mohawk Valley. Albany so far looking good, but further to the east, we also are concerned about severe weather. This whole area of upstate New York and western Massachusetts under a severe thunderstorm watch. Tornado watches also in effect for much of the plains, from Texas all the way into Nebraska. Some of these watches go until as late as 11 o'clock Central Time. Paul?
Another area we're watching in terms of severe weather, the risk of flooding across South Florida, 75 degrees. The temperature has been coming down with more rain coming down. And the winds, though, they've been coming up, at times gusting close to 30 miles per hour. We're going to have more of the same. This is set up here across South Florida is a lot of rain. Many areas already picked up 1.5 inches just today. Many areas in Palm Beach County picked up 4 to 5 rain showers, more thunderstorms popping up as we head towards Friday. More rain showers into the weekend, into next week as well. You got to remember, 1.5 inches today alone in Miami as well as Fort Lauderdale. Palm Beach County, 4 to 5 inches just today. So this graphic, which take this weekend and beyond. Here's our forecast. Hate to be the bearer of bad news. We head into the beach. Not the best day for being outdoors. Showers and thunderstorms continue through Monday. Not continuous, some breaks of clouds, but still, it's going to be a wet one across South Florida. Kelly?
We are staying on into Iowa. You can see where we do have a tornado warning in effect for Hamilton County. This is in Nebraska until 5:15. Tornado reported with this particular storm. Watch out.
Our local Doppler radar. For tonight, clear and windy, low 67. Winds south-southwest at 20 to 30 miles per hour. And on Thursday, sunny skies, hot, high 98. And Thursday night, clear skies, low 69. Our 7-day outlook.
This is... It's that time of the hour when we do a severe weather update, and we have a lot of it to update you on. There have been at least 7 reports of tornadoes thus far. A tornado outbreak is in progress. Many states are affected. Let's take a look. We have a severe thunderstorm watch, but there's a tornado warning within that. Parts of New York and Pennsylvania, from Wisconsin down to southeast of the Twin Cities, down into Iowa, and then tornado watches, many of them, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. There could be some strong tornadoes. There's been a lot of tornadoes and a lot of warnings at the moment. Some of these storms are firing along a dry line, the warm, moist air colliding with dry air, parts of Texas, western Kansas, some along a stationary front, and others just in the warm, moist air out ahead of the dry line. So it is a complicated day, a dangerous day. There could be some of those storms come into the Oklahoma City metro area. Storms have rolled across Syracuse, New York. Big clusters of storms down, getting close to I-88 there. Tornado warning for Chenango and Otsego counties around the Middlefield, Milford, and New Berlin areas. You see this storm is a hook echo. Can you see this wrap around right about here? So the tornado will be in there heading down southeast toward the Milford area. Be on the aware of that one. Then a lot of severe thunderstorms from Wisconsin down along that frontal zone into Nebraska and then down into Texas and Oklahoma with in red several severe thunderstorms, I should say several tornado warnings. We'll start with this one. Tornado warning here for Custer County around the Comstock area, Douglas and Sargent moving off toward the northeast. Then a whole cluster of severe thunderstorms generally around the Hastings area. One of them here around the York area. There's been a tornado reported about 4 miles northwest of York with this one. Watch out, Benedict and Maps. Sliding a little bit farther to the south. Farther down in York, Knox and McCool Junction, a rotation in there. And then yet another storm with some rotation. Parts of Fillmore County, Exeter, Fairmont, Glengarry areas. And one more storm a little bit to the west of that in this cluster, Hamilton counties. Other storms in there could briefly spin up tornadoes as well. Then down into the Texas Panhandle, we have a couple of storms, more or less bow echoes, but sometimes those produce damaging winds and tornadoes. And look at this line coming about an hour west of the most immediate west suburbs of Oklahoma City now, with severe thunderstorm warnings on that. Here, this little comma cloud, comma head circulation, Hemp Hill and Wheeler counties with a possible tornado. And down into Collingsworth County, again, some of these little mini circulations could produce tornadoes and damaging winds. So it is a day when I've given a Torcon of 7 for the eastern part of the Texas Panhandle, western parts of Oklahoma, gets into the 5 or 6 farther eastern parts of Oklahoma, as well as the 7 and 5s and 6s across west to east parts of Kansas. It is a dangerous day. It will continue to be dangerous again tomorrow. Today, we have an upper air disturbance that has reached the east of the Rockies, beginning to tap Gulf of Mexico moisture. That feature is still there on Thursday, still there a little farther east on Friday, and so each day we'll have severe weather and tornado outbreaks. Tomorrow, I still have a Torcon of 6 central Oklahoma. That includes the Oklahoma City, Moore area, 6 up into parts of Kansas and Missouri. And then even on to Friday, I still have some parts of Oklahoma down in the base here with a Torcon of 6, northeast Oklahoma, southeast Kansas, northwest Arkansas, and maybe even some severe thunderstorms or tornado threat all the way up into Kansas, the Chicago area, I should say. And so, Paul, it's a pretty rough time, and it's going to be bad. Even by Sunday, this remnants of the system may push back up into the northeast. Paul?
All right, thanks, Dr. Forbes. Again, from severe weather to tropical weather, we're dealing with our first
area, 93 degrees under sunny skies. Here's our local Doppler radar. For tonight, clear and windy, low 67. Winds south-southwest at 20 to 30 miles per hour. And on Thursday, sunny skies, hot, high 98. And Thursday night, clear skies, low 69. Our week ahead.
Well, we are in the midst of another violent tornado day with a large area of the country in the threat zone. Straight ahead, see where Dr. Forbes has upped his Torcon to a 7 out of 10, and weather storms could target your area.
And we would not be surprised to see water rescues again today. Heavy rain could produce flooding, putting lives in danger. Find out where you need to be on alert. From the Weather Channel headquarters in Atlanta, you're watching a special extended edition of Weather Center Live. It is now 6 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 o'clock Central. Thanks so much for joining us as we track this big severe weather threat. I'm Kelly Cass.
And I'm Paul Goodlow. Now, big in all sense of the word now. This is a widespread event stretching all the way from Texas to Minnesota. We're also tracking an area of severe weather across the Northeast and to New England. We're also talking about a very high risk of tornadoes through the night.
We've already had tornado sightings out there in Nebraska and Texas. Take a look at our breaking weather alert system. Active tornado warnings continue for Polk and York counties in Nebraska, as well as Custer, Garfield, and Loop. Many other areas seeing severe thunderstorm warnings as well.
Let's bring in our into our Global Forecast Center and talk to our severe weather expert, Dr. Greg Forbes. This risk continues even as the sun starts to set, Greg.
Yeah, it really does. We've already had 7 tornadoes, and we're really only right now to 5 o'clock Central Time. It's typically the 5 to 9 p.m. time that has the most tornadoes in it, so an outbreak is in progress. Let's take a look here. A lot of these tornadoes are forming along this dry line that are clashing. You can see here on our exclusive wind stream forecast, southeast winds clashing with southwest winds, and that is pushing up the storms on what we call the dry line. Others along this stationary front, and additional storms that are in the warm, moist air that are out ahead of that front. Let's see if my graphics will advance here. There we go. Maybe. I may be having a problem. Let's see. There we go. Here we have all the severe thunderstorms and flash flood warnings. Look at these across Iowa. The greens, flash floods, yellows, severe thunderstorms, and then the reds, tornado warnings, several clusters of those. Some on that front, some east of it in the warm area that I was talking about. And then same kind of thing. Several rounds of storms across Kansas and Texas Panhandle, then another round of storms closer to Oklahoma City. So those are the fronts and dry line, the ones to the east just tapping that warm, moist air. We'll try to take a look at many of these tornado warnings. They're popping up so fast it's hard to get them all. Custer and Garfield counties now, storm there in western half of Nebraska. And then all sorts of tornado warnings in a cluster of storms off to the northeast of Hastings, a little bit farther east of Nebraska, including York County. There's been a tornado with this one north of York, heading up toward the Stromsburg area, including the Benedict area. Another storm including York County up toward the Houston, Waco, and York areas under the circulation. Additional storms here north of Exeter, Fairmont. The Fillmore County has a tornado warning. And yet one more over on the western edge of the cluster, Hamilton County, Hampton and Stockton. There's been Stockham. There's been a tornado previously southwest of Stockham with damage. So dangerous storms with tornadoes in progress. Here, off along I-70 in western parts of Kansas, Logan, Sheridan, Thomas counties under tornado warnings. Not one, but 2 storms in there with rotating elements in it, moving almost along the same path. There'll be a flash flood problem as well. Then down into the East Texas Panhandle and western Oklahoma, squall line. No tornado warnings on it, but hail, damaging winds, probably some heavy rain coming into the west suburbs of Oklahoma City, and a couple of tornado warnings in the line. These are a little bit different character from those supercells that we're seeing in farther to the north. This one, a little bit of a bow echo with surging winds, but you get some rotation sometimes in the bow echoes come ahead, if you will. So Hemphill and Wheeler counties around Canadian, Clear Creek, and Dreyfus have tornado warnings. And there are small little bow echoes embedded in these storms. Tornado warning may be allowed to expire. It's mostly moving out of there, but still Collingsworth County, Texas, under tornado warning. So big expanse up in the northeast, even a chance of a tornado there, hail damaging winds. But the main event is from Minnesota down to Texas, and I've given a Torcon of 7 there, East Texas Panhandle, western half of Oklahoma, 6s and 5s farther east, up into south central Kansas, a Torcon of 7, 5s and 6s across much of the rest of the state. Then as we head into tomorrow, part of the forcing for today, besides that dry line in front, has been an upper air system that's come in. It has a bit of a negative tilt. You see it comes in west and then turns north. It's that area ahead of that is very east, and then Friday again a little farther northeast still. That just spreads the threat all the way up to the Great Lakes by Friday. Tomorrow, still a Torcon of 6. It moves right into the heart of central Oklahoma. Watch out, Moore and Oklahoma City. I hope nothing bad happens there for the disaster recovery areas. Eastern Kansas and western Missouri also a 6. And then up into Friday, still some parts of Oklahoma, probably more like the Tulsa area, a Torcon of 6, but still a tornado threat for central, the Oklahoma City area, as well as some Torcons of 4, parts of Missouri, Illinois, and Iowa, and all the way up toward the Chicago area has some tornado threat. So a multi-day tornado outbreak. Let's hope everyone stays safe. Kelly?
All right, I hope so too, Greg. Thank you so much. The Tornado Hunt team, they're out there on the road in Kansas tracking some of those thunderstorms that Greg just showed us on the radar. He joins us live there from Sublette, Kansas, kind of traveling out there, chasing some of these storms. Mike, what is your plan?
Well, you know, it's been one of those days where it's been difficult to chase because a lot of the storms that have produced tornadoes are more or less these squall lines, which are really difficult to get a nice visual on a tornado. A lot of times they're really brief spin-ups and they're rain wraps. So that's been tough. Looks like out here in western Kansas right now, big, beautiful blue skies. Is there going to be enough instability with the heating of the day today, with temperatures in the 80s, dew points in the 60s right now, and enough forcing coming in with that dry line to get things to fire still as we go through the evening? As Dr. Forbes was mentioning, it's only 5 o'clock in the afternoon here, so we're just now getting into prime time. Some storms have fired off to our north, some storms have fired off to our south, so what we're going to do is kind of follow in behind on the storms off to our north, Garden City, then up toward Colby, Kansas. If we get lucky here, we're going to see one, maybe individual, or maybe 2 individual supercell thunderstorms develop on the dry line, and those will be nice to chase, Kelly. Those big, beautiful individual cells that you can really get a nice visual on tornadoes, and there's very little out here to hit, and that's a good thing. But having said that, make sure that you're ready to go just in case a tornado does threaten your area. But I think we're just going to have to be patient. It's tough to do when you're a chaser, be patient, but I think that's going to be the virtue that we have to have this evening.
And Mike,